it's time for us to get into another conversation. Now, yesterday we began talking about this issue of the military interactions with civilians and some of the challenges that, first of all, have come up, and then some of the potential challenges that can even result beyond this point. Should the military even be, engaging with civilians in a normal discourse of our lives? Well, we've been joined in the studio by one of the persons that we're speaking with, that is Peter Lanchene Toobu. He is a superintendent of police, retired, and MP currently for Wa West. Superintendent, you're welcome.
David,
it's good to have you in person.
Oh yeah, I'm excited to be here myself.
Fantastic.
It's been a while.
Yes.
Ellen, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing good.
You sound good. Thank you for coming.
All right. So I think we need to delve further into this conversation, which we began yesterday. In a normal practice, there's a barracks for a reason. Of course, we also know, and this is something that you made reference to yesterday, that because the world has changed quite a bit, and we don't have so many wars that we are fighting for our militaries to be engaged in all the time. There's a fallout of things that will come. Let's talk about what happened over there in Tema, and why did it result in the situation that we find ourselves in.
Thank you very much. Let me say good morning to our cherished viewers. It is a bright new day, looking beautiful. And I think that the people in Tema, Newtown, are still battling with the reality that dawned on them, to the point that they lost 2 people and had so many other people injured. I want to convey my condolences to the Brief family.
Yeah.
It is not an easy stuff. I mean, it's very difficult to contain with that situation. And I also want to salute the Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, His Excellency the President. When the armed forces is in trouble, I don't think that the president is at peace. I also want to greet the Chief of Defense Staff, my good friend Lieutenant General Thomas Opompopra. Okay. He's just taking over, and this is a test case. Yeah. He needs to do the best that he can to better the public image of the Ghana Armed Forces.
Yeah.
What happened in Tema is an eyesore. Nobody is happy to hear that. Nobody is happy witnessing it under this dispensation of a democracy, that military men will have confrontation with civilians. These are not combatants. These were just civilians. And you know what? These were civilians enjoying their constitutional right. A special event, which is a procession, is covered by the Public Order Act, Act 491 of 1994. So they were enjoying that legal right. And for that reason, the police were there to do what they know doing best. The police were there to provide them security for them to enjoy their right in the procession. The soldiers were not on duty to manage the crowd. The soldiers were virtually passing through to go to their office. And in the process, they had to drive through the crowd. The question I asked myself, what's the relationship between the military and the police at that material moment? A colleague of yours within the security sector is in charge of a particular environment. The police were in charge. So if you're a soldier and you want to have a way through the crowd, you just better consult the police. 1, either they escort you through, or 2, they will advise you to just wait a bit.
Yeah.
In a minute or 2, the crowd will move away and you have a safe way to your office. This confrontation was actually very unnecessary. But for me, it boils down to one thing that was spoken about over the years, the use of force.
Yeah.
The use of force has been a challenge. Whether it is police, it is military, the use of force has been a problem. Can you believe that in the year 1994, the Public Order Act was passed? It took 20 years for the Ghana Police Service under the one IGP, Mr. Mohammed Ahmed Al-Hassan, to realize that you can't continue to use live bullets in managing public disorder.
After 20 years.
After 20 years.
Goodness gracious.
He sent the current Inspector General of Police, Dr. George Akufu Dampari, back to the Armored Car Squadron to convert the Armored Car Squadron into what we now have as the Formed Police Unit. Okay. The Formed Police Unit is an internationally recognized police branch specializing in the activities of public disorder. They are trained to deal with public disorder without necessarily having to use live ammunition. And they were equipped to do that. And that is why sometimes when you have public demonstrations, you have police dressed in order to deal with the demonstrators, not to kill them, not to harm them, but to ensure that enjoy your right as a demonstrator. But remember, you are also a responsible citizen,
Okay.
and the police are there to do their job. What happened in Tema? I was surprised that somebody said they gave warning shots. Please, warning shots are not fatal. Warning shots do not kill. Warning shot just is another level of force.
Yeah.
You used to tell people, please don't try to cross that red line. When you hear the sound of the gun, it tells you we can actually shoot. Please stop there. It's a warning, and that is what it is. So when you give a warning shot and somebody dies out of it,
Yes.
it is alleged that probably out of the warning shot somebody died. And 2 people died. Whether it is through the bullet or not, we are saying that warning shots do not kill.
Okay.
When they become fatal, they are no longer warning shots. You have to be held accountable for every bullet that you shoot.
Okay.
Right.
So I want you to explain, for the sake of our viewers, if a policeman or a soldier is handling a weapon and is firing a warning shot, what's the typical posture of that weapon? Whether it's a pistol, it's a rifle, where will the gun be pointed at?
Thank you very much. In fact, in the police culture, we've borrowed it from somewhere. But policing global, we don't have anything like warning shot.
Okay.
No. Either you use a rubber bullet or you use a live ammunition.
Okay.
But at any point in time that you are shooting, you should have a target and you have 4 questions in your brain that are well answered. The weapon is the last resort. Is the last force that you can use. It's the heaviest of all the forces. And you ask yourself the first question, this force that I'm going to use, is it proportional to the resistance that I'm getting? And the second question you ask yourself is, am I covered by any law? Is it legal for me to shoot? The third question is, if I am asked to account for my action, will I be justified? Accountability. And the last one is simple. Is it necessary for me to shoot? If you answer these 4 questions and the answer is yes, you can go ahead and shoot with confidence. Why am I saying this? Anytime you are in uniform and you shoot with confidence and go and write and justify why you shot. But when you shoot and they can't find you, it means that probably after the shot, you realize that you made a mistake. And if you made a mistake, you know, the books that control the military and the police, they are not Bibles. So in those books, we don't have forgive me my sins. No, it is all about you have to be dealt with according to the rules and regulations.
Yeah.
So I don't see why people will shoot in uniform and we can't find them. If you shoot in uniform, you are justified in shooting. If you are not justified in shooting, you are then justified to be punished. There are 2 ways. Either you are justified in shooting and you can say that publicly, or you made a mistake and you are held accountable and for that matter punished for that. We need to do all these things for people to learn that if you are in uniform, the bravado with which you carry your weapon is just to ensure that people see you and feel confident that when the soldier is here, when the police officer is here as a citizen, I am happy and I'm convinced that with your presence I am very safe. But when I begin to see a soldier or a police officer and I'm scared, and I think that a warning shot can kill me, that is wrong. Warning shot, if they are even coming, the weapon is handled 90 degrees vertically.
Okay.
90 degrees with your muzzle pointing upwards. And that is why warning shots are never fatal. Because you can't shoot into the air and all of a sudden somebody gets a bullet hitting, somebody gets a bullet hitting his chest. No, it doesn't happen that way. Then it is no longer a warning shot. Probably there was a scuffle, and on many occasions somebody said, I took the weapon, I wanted to give a warning shot, and somebody held the weapon, and in the melee, in the struggle, the weapon went off accidentally. That is a different story. But if you confidently held your weapon or hold your weapon and you decide to shoot, when you shoot it and you say it's a warning shot, it should not be fatal.
Fantastic.
Right. We have Dr. Nanaya Wakwada on the phone to speak with us as per we started yesterday the conversation. He's Executive Director, Bureau of Public Safety. You are welcome, Doctor.
Thank you very much, and good morning to
the
panelists and to your viewers.
Awesome. Good morning. Can we evaluate the investigation so far by the military into the 2 cases of the people who have died?
Well, my condolences to the bereaved family, and also I want to commend the people of Tema Newtown for the extreme holdback that they have done. It's not easy for a dense area like that to have their cultural values or traditions, coming under attack in the manner that it occurred. you will agree with me that if this had occurred elsewhere, probably we'll be talking a different story by now. But the people of Newtown have been so restrained, and I think we need to commend them. Whilst at that, we would also like to call on authorities to be seen, to be working to achieve or bring some justice to the families of those who have passed, and to also appease to the traditional leaders of Tema Newtown that it is not their cultural rights or their tradition that has come under attack. It is a grave error that as a nation we are looking to resolve. And we must do this in earnest and with all diligence. Look, in Honorable Peter Toobu's submission, he indicated that warning shots are not fatal. That's in theory, with all due respect. In practice, we have seen several warning shots in this country turning fatal. And in reality, nobody has been held accountable. And this goes as far back as the 90s and the late 90s. And David, you are in the studio, they were in school together.
Yeah.
There were demonstrations where the police were curbing, that they fired so-called warning shots, that people who were not part of those demonstrations were killed.
Yeah.
Okay? We have seen the military, recent times, okay, during a by-election, moving and purported to be using warning shots to ward off crowds, and we had fatalities. Nothing happened. And today we have the Navy. Look, it's a creeping breakdown of discipline, disregard for rules of engagement, and a complete lack of reviewing our systems and practices within the security services. It should not be that men in uniform, funded by the public taxpayer, the public tax, who go out, who are mandated to protect the public, to protect the sanctity of our democracy or of the peace, who go out there and use the power that we have given them against the citizens. The issue of warning shots, firing warning shots with live bullets or live ammunition, I think that it is long overdue and we need to review that. I was making the point elsewhere that can you imagine when the seat of government, the very seat of the oldest democracy in the world came under attack, nobody was shot, at least not that I know of, from a law enforcement officer. Nobody gave a warning shot. They had less lethal tools that they can use. How is it so that nearly 30 plus years into our democracy, we still use live ammunition in mob and riot control? It is unacceptable, and we must review this in all urgency. Otherwise, what is happening is that we will be exposing this last defense of our democracy
now,
to
Doctor,
risks.
Yes, we are at high risk, Doctor. Looking at this, you said from the 90s, it's an occurrence that keeps happening. Are we to see a halt to it as per what has happened now? Because something has to be able to stop this. Someone has to be able to pay. Because as the former MP said, he said that there is no way that you fire a live ammunition and you will not be seen. Unless, of course, you know that you may have made a mistake. As per how the investigation is going, are we going to see whoever is at fault be brought to book?
Well, I'm sorry. I wish I would answer your question directly, but I want to throw the monkey back to you. Did we see the soldiers who shot into the crowd during the by-election? What has happened to them?
Wow. And
I'll tell you, the standard operating procedure for the law enforcement and the security services, perhaps except only in war situations, are that they account for every bullet. And I think I heard Peter mention that.
He did.
They account for every bullet that traverses the course of the barrel. So we cannot say that we don't know which officer fired what shot. Maybe we will not be able to establish whose shot killed who, but we'll be able to know who fired what shot. That's very important. And I think that moving forward as a nation, we must review this warning shot policy using live ammunition for warning shots. Secondly, some of these things sometimes happen for lack of strategy. I think that for naval base, even the military and the police, wherever they are located in a community.
Of course.
What are their strategies? Do they have a corporate strategy of probably community engagement, security cooperation? What sort of collaboration are they building with the community? All of these things, apart from enhancing the relationship, also works towards having a more secured and targeted approach to the mandate of the naval forces themselves, and by extension to the military and law enforcement agencies. If there is no strategy to ensure that these state agencies are building useful relationship with the communities that they find themselves, we will be having some of these things. If they had plans, one would have known that when they got there, they would know that these are our own people. We must show them respect as they carry out their traditional rights, and they will not attempt to run through the crowd with their vehicle. And it breaks my heart to know that under the Public Order Act, we assume that these men and women, during that procession, were policed throughout the period. So what was the police's role before the whole thing, escalated into use of live firearms and all that? We need to get all of these things in place. Look, we have seen that several times. Tema Newtown is just one case.
Yes.
We have seen that several times, a case where the police is already in the process of handling, the military will fly choppers, drive Prince Goers into a community, round them up, bath them in mud, whip them, capture some of them and take them into and nothing really happens. And it hits me.
Sadly. Well, Dr. Nanaya Akwada, we are grateful to you for joining us, and we know this topic will definitely delve in deeper, and we'll have a better understanding of how the police and the naval base or the army are supposed to relate in issues like this. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Right.
All right. So, yeah, we it's very interesting how the police and the security forces and civilians relate to each other. That Dr. Nanaya made a comment about the breakdown in discipline and order and all of those things. What are your thoughts on this matter?
Thank you very much. When you observe whether it's real or a perception that law and order or discipline is breaking down within this particular security sector, it tells you are looking at the practice. It is the practice that is tangible. It is the practice that is visible. It is the practice that we comment on. If the practice is not positive enough to engender our democratic beliefs, what it means is that it is flowing from procedure. If the procedure is wrong, the practice will definitely be wrong.
Okay.
And if the procedure is wrong, please go deeper down the lane and talk about policy. I'm happy Dr. Akwada talked about the fact that we need to have some policy reviews. The policy reviews probably inform some change in our SOPs. And these SOPs will govern our practice in the field. So if you think about what is happening now, and everybody is thinking that, no, we are losing it. The image of the Ghana Armed Forces out there is impressive. So anytime you have something local that dents the image of the Ghana Armed Forces, all of us with the security background, very particularly even general Ghanaians, we get hurt because we worship our army. For God's sake, we love them. And we believe that if somebody attempts to attack this country, they have the capacity to repel. But if you find a soldier who is rather turning his gun towards the very civilian he's been trained to protect, that is not in good taste. And that is why I'm challenging the Chief of Defense Staff, a young man who has just been appointed, very vibrant. I know what he can do. He is coming from the armor side. He's coming from the army. And believably, I know he will nip this in the bud. This is not a good image for our revered Ghana Armed Forces. But let's take it. If you have 20,000 soldiers, and 10 of them probably become a kind of indiscipline, they are misbehaving on the streets. You don't take the 10 and generalize it to say the whole Ghana Armed Force is just becoming something else. But let's look at the trend. I don't see why a soldier will go to Techman South, for instance, and go and shoot, right? And somebody dies out of it. Command and control is important. Who deployed them there? Who was the main person commanding? How many were you? The leader of that group will have to be held responsible. Did you issue directive for them to shoot? In a very structured system like the police of the army, you can't send people on duty and they'll come back and say, one of them shot, and you ask and they say, I don't know who shot. Then the commander will be held responsible. So all these things we are discussing have to do with accountability. If you talk about accountability, we talk about the quality of the people that we recruit, the quality of the officers that we train. Recently, I just heard on air, and I watched the video, the newly appointed Minister of Interior, Honorable Henry Kote, telling the police that I have told the IGP that we are compiling a supplementary list, a supplementary special recommendation list for them to go and join course 53. When I heard it, I was surprised. Minister at the policy level is gone down to administration and is talking about telling the IGP is compiling a list. Excuse me. Where are you getting the names from? Are you getting the names from the Minister of Interior? The Minister of Interior doesn't have police. All the police officers are under the Inspector General of Police. And these special recommendations are not done in a day. It takes months. Growing from the district to the division to the region, and finally, they are screened very much at the national level, and a few of them are picked to join a course. So if you come and stand publicly and you say, oh, I have told the IGP we are compiling a list, I bow my head in shame and I said, if that thing should happen, the course 43 we see now, who are under training, they're almost 5 weeks down the line. If that thing happens, they will have given that course a political color, and they will suffer in their career till they retire. And that is not a good thing. I think that the minister by now probably would have been told that that statement you made publicly was just, let's take it that it was on a lighter note. You can't do it. And if you try it, you will damage the institution as a whole.
Now, let's watch the video that Honorable Peter is talking about right now.
But I've heard so many things in town that today, let me give you another good news. I have told the IG that we will do supplementary special recommendation to the police college. Let me repeat, by the grace of God, we are in Ramadan. The Muslims will say, Inshallah. Inshallah, there will be special recommendations into the police service, police academy, and I mean very, very, very soon.
Now I hope you have a better understanding of all of this. Honorable Peter, Okay, so we're having something in the studio.
Yes.
Please mention your last name.
Oh, my last name is Toobu.
Toobu.
Yes, Peter Lanchine Toobu.
Toobu.
Thank
I
you.
like the Toobu. I like the Toobu.
Thank you.
Right, your final words before we quickly wrap up.
Thank you very much. You hear it very clearly. It is not that I'm fabricating anything. This is what and you just observe the mood on the high table.
Yes.
The IG was very calm. He loved the club. I know him. He loved the club.
But he
Very
didn't
particular
clap.
for his superiors. On this particular occasion,
didn't clap.
he was very quiet.
Yeah.
GP1, GP2, I could count about 4 or 5 of them holding their hands this way. And I know that they were shocked.
Yeah.
Minister, you want to compile, and you are I will compile. We are going to compile. You and who? From where? Do you have the police? You are a policy person.
Yeah.
The IGP is appointed by the president to be in charge of the administration and operation of the Ghana Police Service. You are appointed by the president to represent him at the ministry, at the policy level.
Yeah.
So if you are bringing a new policy that will change things and affect administration and operations, bring it on.
Yeah.
But you can't jump down from the policy level and try to micromanage and do the administrative and operational work. That is
Right.
not possible.
It's dangerous.
Thank you so much for giving us a deep insight on what has to go on between the police, the military, and also the civilians. We've had in-house Honorable Peter Lanchine Toobu. He's a superintendent of police retired and MP for Wa West. And also on phone, we had Dr. Nanaya Akwada, Executive Director, Bureau of Public Safety.
Yeah.